Hi y'all, welcome to Armin Bayou Nature Center, or ABNC. Today I'm going to give y'all a walking tour that I like to call Welcome to the Footsteps Before Humans. The reason being of this title is because I'm going to talk about the animals that actually live here. They are majestic. They are it's funny how they live about with each other and is able to survive. Here at ABNC we have 2,500 acres. Part is wetlands, part is prairies, part is rivers, and the rest of it is forestry. Our forestry canopy is 40, 50, 60 feet tall. Our prairies are 30 acres of tall brown, gray, yellow grasses that were here. That's been here forever. Our river is about 4 miles long. It stretches through 3 different cities. So now that you know this, I'll be able to talk about these animals, and you'll have an understanding of how they live here, how they live together, and how they survive. So now that I've given you that, let's get our feet wet. Let's start in the wetlands. So in the wetlands, there are many different animals that live in the wetlands. You've got fish, you've got frogs, you've got alligators, and birds. The reason why I say birds last is because they are exquisite with how they live in the wetlands. You would think that a bird would want a more drier, humid, a more drier, plain looking area where they can have freedom to roam. But they enjoy the wetlands better because of protection. In the wetlands you have an enormous amount of food with the water. They can either eat the fish, tadpoles, or they can even eat part of the bacteria, algae. Not all bacteria and algae is bad for you. So those are actually really good nutrients for birds. And so because of this, we actually have a bird watching station where you can come on a separate tour, sit here and watch these birds in their natural habitat. You can watch them come down and get their food, or you can watch them eat food off of an alligator's back. You know, that all ties back to how these animals survive together. Yes, it's 2,500 acres, but compared to what they had years ago, this is nothing. This is little. So now that we've gone through a little bit of the birds, let's check out some of our more prairie animals that really help jumpstart forestry, because the animals were able to actually keep the trees down in prairies. So for example, one of those is deer. So deer tend to, for example, bucks, they'll rub their antlers on a twig that is fairly small, fairly weak, fairly new, and they'll end up breaking that twig, giving the tree not enough time to bloom and to live its full potential. So another thing, for example, is this fresh deer track. Deer have 2 toes. and they point towards each other, like so, on this track. Well, what this helps seeds, grasses being pushed down into the soil, so that way the wind can't blow it away. The wind is a very powerful source. It can take a seed from here, from Armand Bayou Nature Center, and it can move it 50 miles down the road. So by deer walking and having such a heavy foot, it pushes that seed down into the ground, and it has a chance to bloom. Hence, prairie. We here in Southeast Texas is actually considered a prairie, a southeast prairie ecosystem. Yes, we have a lot of trees now, but we were once full prairie, which brings us into our next animal that I like to call the beast of the South, and that is our bison. Here at AB&C, we actually have 2 bison that live on the land with us. They are unfortunately brother and sister, so they can't mate. But the reason why we have bison here is to show you and let you know how they lived. Basically, the main reason why bison live here is because they are what kept the prairies alive. They would mow the prairies down, so that way if they got too tall, if you put a herd of bison in, let's say, 2,500 acres of prairie, they would have that prairie mowed in 20, 30, 40 days. So bison actually was the main reason why we were such a prairie system, because they're such big and powerful animals that they would just mow down any type of twig or tree that was in their way, and they would keep the prairies mowed, allowing seeds to go from here to here, because it could be traveling in their fur, it could be traveling in their mouth. If they didn't quite swallow a seed, all they had to do was take that seed from here, go over here and eat this grass and drop that seed. So because of them, they kept the tallows down, which tallows are an invasive species, and tallows can take over. If there was a tree that could take over the world, it'd be the tallows. And they were able to keep that. They were able to keep the tallows down. So they're here on site to show you, to represent how the prairies were formed, how they were kept up, and how they thrived. All of this being said, I'm gonna go back to my title, Footsteps Before Human Beings. If it wasn't for us, animals would still rule this world. And I believe that the animals that lived here, I think it's unfair to them on how we have destroyed their habitats, moved them from a safe place to now a place that's so dense that they can't get away from predators, a place that they can't breed as much because they don't have a place to go once their young are born. You know, their young can't survive because they can't learn how to live like they're supposed to. When they're walking 20 minutes, 5 minutes down the road, or through this pasture and they're hitting road or they're hitting a building. They just can't do it on their own now. And so that's why A, B, and C is here. We are here to help preserve what animals have brought for us, because that's what they deserve. Thank you.